Facing the unthinkable. What to do if you meet gangsters in the middle of nowhere? Hey there, survivor. Welcome to Survive and Thrive, the channel where ordinary people learn extraordinary survival skills. If you haven't subscribed yet, do it now, because one day, the knowledge you gain here might stand between you and a fatal mistake. The night everything changed. It was a cold, silent night. The sky hung low with clouds, and the road ahead stretched endlessly into darkness. Daniel, a 34-year-old mechanic returning home from work, had driven this rural highway 100 times before. It was usually peaceful, quiet, almost meditative. But on this particular night, the peace would break. He noticed headlights appear in his rearview mirror, a pair of bright beams approaching fast, too fast for comfort. The road was empty for miles, no nearby town, no passing cars, no cell service. His gut tightened. The vehicle behind him, a black van, began tailing him closely, almost touching his bumper. Then, without warning, it surged forward, swerving ahead of him, and came to a stop sideways across the road. Daniel hit the brakes hard. His tires screeched on the asphalt. 3 figures stepped out of the van, all dressed in dark clothing, faces partly covered, one of them holding what looked like a weapon. The first rule: control your panic at that moment. Daniel's body reacted the way every human body does in a life-threatening situation. His sympathetic nervous system kicked in, the fight-or-flight response. His heart pounded violently, his pupils dilated, and adrenaline flooded his bloodstream, sharpening his senses but clouding rational thought. Panic screamed for action: run, fight, do something. But he remembered something he'd once read in a survival manual. Panic is your enemy. It kills faster than fear. So he forced himself to take one deep breath, then another, lowering his shoulders, forcing oxygen into his brain to slow down the rush of chemicals. This deliberate breathing reactivated his parasympathetic system, helping him think clearly when every instinct demanded chaos. Assessing the situation, Daniel's eyes moved carefully, scanning his surroundings. There was no cover, no house, no road lights, just an open stretch of highway and 3 men advancing. Escape on foot was impossible. Fighting 3 armed attackers would mean certain death. He calculated silently. The attackers were calm, not frantic, meaning this was planned. They didn't shoot immediately, meaning they wanted something, not bloodshed. He had value alive, at least for now. That analysis, done in seconds, would later save his life. The decision that saved him when the men approached. Daniel lifted his hands slowly, palms outward, showing no threat. He spoke calmly, his voice steady and clear. Take whatever you want. I don't want trouble. He didn't yell, didn't argue, didn't plead. He used neutral words. No provocation, no defiance, no begging, just reason. The leader, a tall man with a scar running across his cheek, seemed momentarily uncertain. Criminals expect fear or aggression, not composure. That hesitation gave Daniel psychological control of the situation, even if only for a moment. They took his wallet, phone, and car keys. One of them muttered, "You're not even going to fight for your car?" Daniel looked him in the eyes and said, "I can replace a car. I can't replace my life." That sentence, calm, factual, emotionally neutral, disarmed them more than any weapon could. It showed intelligence, not defiance. It made him appear less of a threat and more of a rational man who understood reality. Understanding the psychology of survival. This response works because of human behavior under stress. When an aggressor feels dominance is uncontested, their aggression often reduces. The threat loop is broken. But when a victim fights or argues, it triggers the predator instinct, turning control into chaos. By staying calm, showing no challenge, and giving them what they demanded, Daniel unconsciously engaged a conflict diffusion mechanism, reducing their perception of threat and increasing the likelihood of being spared. Aftermath and action. When the men left with his belongings, Daniel waited several minutes before moving. He didn't chase, didn't shout, didn't run after them. He simply took steady breaths and walked toward the direction of the nearest service station he remembered, nearly 4 kilometers away. Later, when he reached help, he provided the police with valuable details: the van's make and model, approximate license plate digits, the men's accents, their height, and their behavior. His calm observation, even under threat, turned him from a passive victim into a reliable witness. The science behind staying alive in extreme danger, Your amygdala, the brain's fear center, takes over. It shuts down logical reasoning and floods your body with adrenaline. However, survivors like Daniel engage the prefrontal cortex, the reasoning part, by forcing structured thoughts. Breathe. Stay calm. What do they want? This simple act rebalances brain chemistry, allowing rational decision-making to override primitive panic. It's the same mental training used by soldiers, pilots, and rescue divers. Stay conscious of your thoughts, and your mind becomes your strongest weapon. The lesson: Daniel lost his car and his phone that night, but he kept something priceless: his life and his clarity. He later said, "I didn't survive because I was brave. I survived because I stayed calm." The true lesson here is simple yet profound. Don't let emotion drive your choices. Don't fight unless you must. Don't argue with desperation. Focus on survival, not possessions. Objects can be replaced. Lives cannot. Final words: so if you ever find yourself stranded in an isolated place, confronted by criminals, or trapped in a moment that feels unreal, remember Daniel. Remember that real survival isn't about strength, it's about strategy. It's not about pride, it's about perspective. Sometimes, surrendering your belongings is the smartest way to protect what truly matters: your heartbeat, your breath, your chance to see another sunrise. Stay aware, stay calm, stay alive. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Survive and Thrive, where every story teaches you one powerful truth: knowledge is your greatest survival tool.